Hi, my name is James S. Diaz, and I wrote a book. It's called Captain Beauchamp. You could check it out on Amazon under Captain Beauchamp or James S. Diaz, or under both. And today I'm going to read my cousin Landon, his favorite chapter in my book. It's called Men of Substance. Essentially, my main character is going to recruit a bunch of people to get onto a ship with him, because he's a captain of a ship, and he's gonna go hunt some pirates, so he's gotta get some good guys to go with him. Now, Beauchamp needed a few people with specialized skills, as humans would say. The captain went to his old friend, Joe Saperstein. Joe was the best navigator in Port Royal. Joe was in his office where he created maps for people. "You're not here to ask me to help you hunt the pirates' loss, are you?" Joe asked. No, I wouldn't ask you to do that, Beauchamp said. Good, because my answer would be no. Would you like some tea, Beauchamp said. I would love some tea, thank you very much. Captain Beauchamp whipped out 2 porcelain teacups from his navy blue navy coat's inside pocket and smacked them onto Joe's desk. Then he pulled out 2 tea bags from his shoes and placed them into the porcelain cups. Beauchamp lifted his tricorn hat and produced a piping hot tea kettle. He poured the hot water into the cups and replaced the tea kettle under his hat. Lastly, he conjured up 2 bowls of sugar cubes out of thin air. "How many lumps?" he said. "2, please. Thank you very much." Beauchamp put 2 cubes of sugar into Joe's cup and 14 into his own cup. Then he pulled out 2 spoons from his navy coat's sleeve for stirring. Joe picked up his tea and took a big slurpy sip. "Have a seat," Joe said. "Don't mind if I do," Beauchamp said, as he took a seat and a sip of his tea. "Now, why did you come here?" "I need your help to navigate the lost sea and capture the dreaded pirate's loss." "I'll do it," Joe said. "Perfect," Beauchamp said. Joe Saperstein and Captain Beauchamp sat in silence for 3 weeks and finished their tea. Now that Joe was on board, the captain needed the best marksman he could find. The marksman's name was Bud. He was newly enlisted in the army, but he also had the highest marksmanship scores in enlistment history. Captain Beauchamp went to recruit him, and he said yes immediately. In fact, he said yes before Captain Beauchamp even got a meeting with him. In fact, he said yes before he even had been born. Now that Beauchamp had his navigator and marksman, he needed the first mate. First mates are important because they're the second in command to the captain. He needed nothing but the best of the best. Captain Beauchamp went to Don's house, but Don wasn't home, so he went to Diego's house. Diego answered the door halfway through the second knock like he always did. Diego was a short, baby-faced, stubby-sized man. He wore a suit that was 4 sizes too large for him at all times. His sleeves would flap about as he swung his arms, and his trouser pants were so long that they completely covered his shoes. He wore his suit on the tennis court. He wore his suit to the gym. He wore his suit in the shower. He always wore his suit. Perhaps because he had the face of a baby and felt as if he had to compensate, or perhaps because he had been late to a job interview and was consequently fired before he had even been hired. He'd in fact gotten fired before he'd even been born. Diego was obsessed with being utmostly professional. "Captain Beauchamp," he said, "how informal of you to see me without an invitation. You're not here to ask me to help you hunt the pirate's loss, are you?" Diego asked. "Hi, Diego," Beauchamp said. "I already did that bit with Joe." "I see. Which one does that take us to? Don't tell me it's the one where the shark bites me in the bum." "No, we can skip that one for today. That takes us to the leprechaun hunt," Diego said with dread in his voice, as if his mom had just asked him to pose for a family picture. "I wouldn't dream of a leprechaun hunt," Beauchamp said. "We're going to pay our taxes together." "Really? I don't recall that being a bit. It is now." "Wonderful," exclaimed Diego. And so Captain Beauchamp and Diego paid their taxes. They crunched and calculated and were completely crushed by all their numbers. They drank tea and wore lab coats for no apparent reason. By the end of the day, their taxes had been correlated, color-coded, qualified, and nominated for a golden medal in the Olympics. "So, Beauchamp, will you be my first mate and hunt the dreaded pirate's loss?" "Of course I will," Diego said. "Wonderful," exclaimed Beauchamp. Captain Beauchamp had finally gathered all the troops he needed, at least the important ones. The rest of his crew would be supplied by the British Navy. Captain Beauchamp was satisfied with his choice of men, and now all he had to do was tell the news to his wife and son. Which takes me to my favorite chapter. You can watch that video in another video. We'll link it, Video Inception, essentially. But if you want to check out my book, Captain Beauchamp, it's for children from the age of 6 to 12. It's on Amazon. You can check it out. Thanks for watching.